2019 chase season started on the cold side, as we were locked in this cold weather pattern since the middle to the end of January. This video was taken May 9th, when I should be chasing thunderstorms. Instead, I'm chasing winter storms. As you can see, this guy is not having a good day. This weather pattern continued right through the end of June. Little did I know this would not be my last winter storm I've chased, as computer models were showing another possibility of another winter storm on May 19th. However, at this time I was not buying into this, because the middle of May, we don't get snow here in Wisconsin. However, I was shocked. May 19th, and I'm still chasing winter storms. This will be the latest winter storm I've ever chased in my life so far. We'll see if it will be the latest one I've ever chased. Kind of hoping so. As much as I love winter, I would have to say this is getting quite old. I was up in the Gordon, Wisconsin area chasing this storm. It was just unbelievable how heavy it was snowing. And it was beautiful, don't get me wrong. But May 19th, come on, I'm supposed to be chasing thunderstorms, not winter storms. Anyway, this will conclude this part. Now we'll move on to the thunderstorm chasing. Here is a good example of a rare event. We normally don't see this type of event in northern Wisconsin. These are called McChisland clouds. They normally form in the upper part of the atmosphere with the sun well below the horizon and the sun's light still reflecting off the ice crystals in the upper part of the atmosphere. Normally in northern Wisconsin, we do not see these that often, and if we do, they're not as bright. Canada seems to have the better show. Lightning can be so beautiful, however, it is deadly. If you wish to photograph or take video of lightning, I tell you what, make sure you have signed your death warrant, because you cannot tell where and when the next strike will occur. It may hit you, and if it does, and if you are lucky enough, you will survive. However, 9 chances out of 10, it will kill you. Make sure you have your life insurance policy paid up. Best thing to do is just don't play with it. It is nothing to play around with. Again, you don't know when and where it's going to hit. You could be the target. Some of these video clips have been used from the previous years. Last year, I really didn't shoot video lightning. I was more taking photographs of it. I have had many close calls with lightning. Best thing to do, folks, again, is just don't play around with it. Stay inside and enjoy the beauty from there. Don't do as I do. After most of May being cold, most of June being cold, since we're locked in this weather pattern since the middle to the end of January, it finally broke in June. It would be the end of June. The hot, humid weather finally made an appearance. With that happening, it also kicked off the severe weather season up here in northern Wisconsin. However, unknown to me at the time, how much destruction and devastation I would witness throughout the rest of the season. This year was the first real shelf cloud I've got. I've done other storm chases in June, but this was the best one for June. This storm did cause some damage throughout the city of Rice Lake and maybe out into the county areas. However, it wasn't a widespread event. The evening hours of July 4th, a tornado ripped through parts of Rusk County, mainly south of the Warehouser, and Bruce areas. The tornado itself was rated an EF0 by the National Weather Service. The tornado itself was on the ground for about 7.7 miles. Approximately width was 100 yards. There was no injuries or deaths reported with this tornado. However, many people were in the process of cleaning up that evening of July 4th and into July 5th. I was not on this particular storm. I was chasing, but I was not on that storm. So the video here is nothing but the aftermath of the tornado.
I watched that one from here, and it was scary from here. So when we get back to a desktop, we go through like this.
July 15th brought another storm chase day for this chaser. July 15th brought severe thunderstorms to Barron County. This video was shot in the city of Rice Lake. Some of the video was shot out west of Rice Lake. This severe thunderstorm caused widespread street flooding and along with areas of damage in the city of Rice Lake. Here's just some of the street flooding that was going on in the city of Rice Lake. This poor gentleman here actually got stalled in the deeper area and he had to push his vehicle out. And here's just a look at some of the damage that happened. Most of the damage, if not all of the damage, happened on the north side of Rice Lake. July 18th brought me up to Douglas County, Wisconsin, and even into Bayfield County. There was two supercells going on up in that area, and I got on the first one, chased that one from Douglas County into Bayfield County. That storm there did not produce a tornado. Came close, but just wasn't enough to do it. The second supercell that moved in, I intercepted that over by Gordon, Wisconsin. I couldn't chase that cell very far because of the trees. It's a bad chase area. The National Weather Service has rated this tornado an EF1, and it was on the ground for approximately 1.3 miles, and it was about 80 yards wide. Here are some pictures of the actual tornado itself. If I would have had to call this in, I would have called it in as a funnel cloud. When can I tell if this was on the ground from my location? These are just pictures. I did not shoot any video that day. There was not enough time to allow it, unfortunately for me. July 19th proved to be a devastating day throughout Barron County and Polk County. This storm occurred in the evening hours. During the morning hours, I was looking at the computer models and just having a gut feeling this was going to be a very bad day. And it definitely turned out to be that way. The first part of the storm was nothing but lightning, big time lightning. Then, as we got into the storm, it was mean looking. I knew I was in trouble. Here's what the storm looked like as it was approaching me. I was approximately 1 mile north of the city of Barron at this particular time. You could tell this was a mean storm, not only by the reports I was hearing on the radio, just by the way the storm was looking and acting. And the lightning with this thing was very vivid. Something you definitely don't want to be outside in. Here was just some of the heavy rain and very strong winds I was in, and even some small hail. I stayed out of the hail shaft. Thank God for small favors. Winds were up to 100 plus miles an hour with the storm from what reports I was hearing on the radio. Here is some of the damage from the particular storm. This was 1 mile north of Barron. I was trapped. I couldn't get out. Had to wait for these guys to clear the road. And here's driving through the city of Barron. As you can see, power pole street lights, trees are down. If you want to see more pictures of this, look me up on Facebook. I have tons of pictures of the damage, not only from Barron County but into Polk County. The severe thunderstorm produced a tornado in Barron County. The tornado itself was rated an EF1. It was on the ground for 13.9 miles. Approximate width was 600 yards. Basically, this tornado formed just on the other side of Turtle Lake and moved up towards Elmina. The other tornado that we found happened in Polk County. That was by the range area. This tornado was rated an EF0. It was on the ground for 0.9 miles, and the width was 80 yards. Here's just some of the cleanup efforts that were taking place the day after the severe thunderstorm rolled through. Most of this cleanup efforts was in Barron County. However, I did shoot some of it in Polk County. Again, if you want to see more pictures of all this, look me up on Facebook. July 28th was another devastating day across Polk and Barron counties. Barron County wasn't really affected too much. However, there was a tornado. Here is some of the pictures of the storm in Barron County. This particular frame I still think may be a tornado. Here's some of the damage down by Hillsdale from the tornado. This tornado was rated an EF0. The width was about 25 yards and it was on the ground for 0.43 miles. As you can see, the corn really tells the story. Here is where the tornado had tracked. Now we're into Polk County over by Luck. This particular farmstead was devastated. This tornado here was rated an EF1. It was on the ground for 4.8 miles and it was 100 yards in width. Now here's some of the video of the damage of this farmstead. There was other widespread damage in this area, mainly of trees, and some of the roads were just being cleared as we got down there. Not all thunderstorms are severe. This was a particular strong storm. However, the beauty of this thing cannot be denied. This is a shelf cloud. This was on the, shoot, where was I? North of Rice Lake, about maybe 8 miles towards Hagen, I guess. That'd be about 6 miles. But anyway, as you can see, not all storms are mean and ugly. This one was actually a beautiful storm. It did not cause any damage when the shelf cloud had came through. Now this here is looking straight on as the shelf cloud is approaching. And of course I had to do a selfie. The evening of September 24th, another round of severe thunderstorms had moved through Wisconsin. This particular damage that we're looking at here was down by the Elk Mound area. This was tornado damage. The tornado itself was rated an EF3 by the National Weather Service. The tornado was on the ground for approximately 5.5 miles and it was about 580 yards in width. Luckily, there was no deaths with this tornado, as most of the summer there was no deaths with any of the storms that had affected the whole area. There was a couple injuries, at least one that I know of. There may have been more. I'm not 100% sure. However, you could see the devastation down here, all this damage. It was a nightmare. Going back to the rating of the EF3, the National Weather Service rated it a strong EF3 actually. And we continue to look at more damage from this particular tornado. This occurred during the nighttime hours. So obviously I was not chasing this. However, I was up here photographing and shooting video of lightning that night. And some more damage. And here you can see tree damage. This pretty much also tells how strong the tornado itself was.